Hey guys, this is Persephone and this is another video of the Hermit Tarot. This is part 2 of Jeffree Star, exposing Jeffree Star and Nate's relationship. In this video, I will go ahead and discuss the middle and the ending of Jeffree Star's alleged relationship with Nate. Now remember, all information is for entertainment purposes. Everything is alleged, and if you do like this video, don't forget to subscribe, leave the thumbs up, and leave me a comment. I hope you guys all enjoy.
And let me tell you something. Early in the beginning of their relationship, there was a possibility that Nate was actually involved with a pregnancy. There was a pregnancy between him, Jeffree, and another woman. They had even talked about it down the line. I don't know how long these people have been together. I think they were together for 3 to 5 years. I don't remember how long.
So I wanted to make a quick clarification. So the first pregnancy that I'm speaking about is a pregnancy that involved Nate and a woman that he was formerly with way before Jeffree Star came into the picture, and unfortunately that pregnancy did not come into its completion. And then there was the talk about surrogacy within the relationship between Jeffree and Nate, but unfortunately because of contract obligations that also failed. The cards are indicating that contract obligations and the agreement of who would play the surrogate mother was never agreed on.
The talk of surrogacy was a topic that they had discussed, but even way before that, they had played with the idea of Nate fathering a child, and way before Jeffree Star approved that, there was a possibility that Nate did get someone pregnant. He did get someone pregnant. And unfortunately, I don't know if the person went through with the actual pregnancy or there was an abortion, but I see pregnancy here. I see pregnancy here. Okay. Let me throw something else down. Tell me more about the relationship with him, Jeffree Star and Nate. They worked very hard on their relationship. When it came, let me tell you something. It took 3 years for Jeffree Star and Nate to finally get it together and settle down. The first 3 years between Jeffree and Nate were very chaotic, meaning that so when Nate was all in, Jeffree was all out, and vice versa. When Jeffree was all out, Nate was all in. I don't know if I just said that. So it was someone always had their foot in and out the relationship, and unfortunately it just showed that there have been a lot of harsh words. What does that mean? That means that when they were fighting, and I don't see that there were a lot of fights between Jeffree and Nate, it shows that there were a lot of harsh words. And where were those harsh words coming from? The harsh words were coming from people that were speculating, people that were watching them, people that were viewing the relationship. Now, I do have to stress here, when there were arguments between Jeffree and Nathan, Jeffree was the one that had a lot of negative, hurtful things to say. Let's see. the end, there were questions about if Nate was there for the money. And let me tell you something about their breakup. Jeffree was actually the one that felt trapped. Jeffree was the one that actually felt like he wanted to not necessarily pull from the relationship, but he felt like this wasn't his ideal relationship. Why? Because it felt like there was a point where Nate had become very complacent. He had become defensive. He had also become very jealous about what was happening. Why? Because
Hey guys, so just a quick addition. I wanted to add that another thing that I did notice and the cards did indicate, it wasn't necessarily that there wasn't a lot of arguments. It's just that Nate, because of his Venus and Cancer, tend to be a little bit more subtle and submissive when it came to arguing. To be honest, I don't see that there was a lot of arguing, but I did see that Jeffree was the one that called the shots and Nate was willing to go along with the ride. The reason why there were, if any, problems or any hesitation was the sense of control. And it was because when Jeffree found out that there were other things such as infidelity that was coming into question, that is when the problems started, because Jeffree did not mind that there were threesomes or additional romantic relationships happening as long as it involved him, Jeffree Star. But when Nate felt like there were other opportunities to indulge in other sexual activities with women that had nothing to do with Jeffree Star, that is when the problems started. And another thing I do want to stress is that the cards are indicating that Jeffree Star felt like in the relationship he was trapped, not necessarily because Nate just felt jealous. Nate was jealous because Jeffree Star was able to be who he wanted to be in the relationship. Nate did not. Nate was just a side guy. And really what Nate had admired from Jeffree Star was the opportunity, the availability, the confidence to be who he wanted to be in front of a large audience. And that is really what Nate wanted. Nate wanted to be something totally different than what he originally was and wanted to feel comfortable in his own skin. And that is why the relationship and the dynamic between these two worked for so long, because he was craving that validation and craving that acceptance that only Jeffree Star could give him.
because Jeffree was the type of person that he would say something and then take it back. Meaning, for example, Jeffree would tell them, listen, I don't care if you go out. I don't care if you party. I don't care if you make friends. I don't care if you talk to anyone as long as you tell me. Right? But the moment that Nate would step out and make some sort of friendship, some sort of connection, some sort of organic, some sort of organic connection with someone, Jeffree would either pull back and say, oh, I can't believe you went ahead and did that. Like, I thought that I was everything that you need. And Nate would be like, yeah, but I thought you said it was okay for me to make friends. I thought you said it was okay for me to go out. I thought you said it was okay for me to, like, explore and see what I really want to do with my life. And Jeffree was very scared of losing Nate. But at the same time, he felt trapped. You gotta ask yourself, why did Nate and Jeffree stayed together for so long, and yet Nate never came out with any merchandise. He never really did anything, and it's like because he felt like if he did something, he would look like he was there only for the money. And then Jeffree was always encouraging him to do something creatively, but then the moment he did it, it's like he would threaten Nate and say things like, I can't believe you would do this. And another thing that I see is that Jeffree Star and Nate's mother did not get along. She didn't like Jeffree. She did not like him. I don't know if Nate's father is still alive. I see there's a male figure around Nate. I don't know if it's a brother or it's a father, because I don't know if the father is still alive. But the male figures in Nate's life were actually very open to Jeffree, and they actually respectfully and sincerely did like Jeff. They liked Jeffree Star, but his mother was not supportive of the relationship. She had a lot of questions. She actually did a lot to break them up. She would constantly have like a passive-aggressive kind of attitude towards Nate and also towards Jeffree. I know there's like a lot of things that happened between their breakup, and there were a lot of mentions of like threesomes and racism and NDA, and I think there was like a lawsuit over a car of some sort. That's actually what I really want to get to the nitty gritty in, but let me see what dropped. Yeah, their breakup. Jeffree at the end started holding out on Nate, meaning that after a while he wasn't supporting Nate financially like everybody thought he was. Not at all. Let me just move the camera a little bit. I know a lot of people like to say that Jeffree was actually supporting Nate, but after a while, he financially wasn't supporting him anymore. He actually was holding out on him, and they didn't have a happy home like everyone thought. Actually, this breakup was coming for a really long time. And this breakup was actually coming around the time when, not publicly, because I know there was like a scandal publicly that Nate was DMing and sending like naked pictures to a couple of women. That was actually not the first time that someone had threatened to expose Nate. Jeffree was actually, I think Jeffree was able to cover him 2 times. He covered his cheating scandal 2 times before the public was able to know it. But the 3rd time, unfortunately, Jeffree Star was not able to cover Nate's cheating ways anymore. And that's why he got exposed on Snapchat or something like that. I just want to see something really quick. Change. Oh, and we're going to actually talk imprisonment. Mature woman. That's the mother. That's the mother. That's Nate's mother not being, courtship. Not being happy about the relationship. And let me tell you something. There was like talk that Jeffree Star had purchased a house for Nate's family, I think out in the country. That is actually what the lawsuit was about. It wasn't about the car. I know that was mentioned, but it wasn't the car. It's actually the house. It's actually the house that was either talked about or purchased. Pathway, yeah. It was actually the house. Yeah, that's what they're in court for. They're in court. Okay. Nate actually is in court with Jeffree. But it's not because of the car. It's because of the house that was purchased. It was because when Nate left Jeffree's house, he didn't take everything with him. Meaning he didn't take all his clothes, all his sneakers, all his jewelry, his skateboards. I'm seeing something about like the ping pong machines or like the gaming systems. All of those things, Nate was going to come and take them with him because those were gifts. And Jeffree Star was the one that said, no way, if you leave, you're leaving all this shit with me. You're leaving all these things with me. Wow. And actually, there was a scandal with Jeffree about something about stolen cosmetics or something about like I heard there was like a break-in in one of the warehouses. Do you know that he thought Nathan was behind that? Nate, excuse me. He thought that Nate was behind that. He thought Nate was behind that. Okay. Let me get another shuffle in here. I would like to see. We talked a little bit about his beginning. I want to know about the threesomes that allegedly were happening with Jeffree Star's approval. I have a feeling that Nate actually had more than just one threesome, and I think he actually had a relationship that was already happening way before the breakup was even happening. Give me some insight on Nate and Jeffree Star's sex life. Give me some insight on Nate and Jeffree Star's sex life. Nate was actually very sexually bored of Jeffree. And that's what caused him to look outside. Believe it or not, Jeffree Star is very conservative when it comes to his sex life. I'm not going to get into too much sexual details, only because YouTube will not push this video out. But yeah, Jeffree actually was open-minded to certain things sexually. But to be honest, you think that Jeffree Star was the submissive one. He was not. He was actually the dominant one during the relationship, during the sexual relationship between these two. And when it came to intimacy, Jeffree Star was more of the dominant, the more vocal one, but unfortunately Nate was very bored of it. Yeah. He let go of the relationship a very long time ago. He let go of the sexual relationship with Jeffree a very long time ago. And even though Jeffree Star wants to say that Nate wasn't there for the money, that's not 100% true. That's not 100% true. Nate was there because of the possibilities, the opportunities that were coming towards him. And let me tell you something. A lot of people offered Nate career, financial monetary possibilities while he was with Jeffree, but unfortunately he had to turn all of them down. He always turned any job offers, anything that was offered to him, whether it was not necessarily against Jeffree, but just anything that would, like even interviews to tell, like, oh, tell us how much you love Jeffree, or how it is to like live in California. Like, Jeffree Star was always very in control of the narrative, and he did not he did not allow Nate to speak at all. So Nate actually lost out on a lot of opportunities to make money. When it came to the breakup, Jeffree Star was actually the one that pulled the plug on it. If it would have been up to Nate, Nate would have continued the relationship. Nate would have definitely continued the relationship with Jeffree Star, and actually did want to come back. I see that he's facing Jeffree. He wanted to come back, and he even told Jeffree, if we work things out, I definitely won't even take a penny from you. You don't even have to financially take care of me, but I do not want to sign any more contracts with you. And also, I want to be able to work. I want to be able to go out there and take the opportunities that are being offered to me. And unfortunately, Jeffree said no. Legally, he was just too scared. He was just too scared to take that opportunity with Nate, and that's why he always forced Nate to stay where he was at, right under Jeffree. And let me tell you something. The breakup wasn't necessarily because Nate had a wandering eye or because he wanted to sleep with other women. It was because Jeffree actually had another relationship on the side. He had another relationship on the side that was only intimate, it was only sexual, it was only, allegedly, it was only just like superficial, but that was a lot, like that is what actually caused a lot of fights. And believe it or not, allegedly, Jeffree Star has some sort of an addiction problem. Nate does not. And that's why Nate did not feel comfortable anymore in their relationship. So it was cheating on Jeffree's side and addiction on Jeffree's side, allegedly, that caused the breakup between these two. And also, Jeffree Star, when it came, like I said before, it shows that Jeffree is very harsh with his words. Now, remember what I talked about his Mercury being in Sagittarius? He tends to be very playful, very on and off, very social. He's more of a social butterfly. But when it came to his intimate relationship with Nate, he was very harsh, very cutthroat, very toxic at times, allegedly, with Nate. And especially when Jeffree used to go on his binges, or he used to go through, and also, you know what is showing me? Jeffree Star has allegedly an issue with his weight. I see more pills and liquids being consumed versus actual food, actual nourishment. There's a lot of things that Jeffree was indulging in that caused the dismantle, the breakup between him and Nate. And don't get me wrong, it shows here that Nate had a little bit of an issue with drinking himself, or an overindulgence, but it was a lot worse on Jeffree's side. Nate also has been emailing. I see like a lot of online communication. I see a lot of online communication with like other women, other men. I see also that Jeffree was, again, withholding financial stability from Nate, and he was actually withholding, allegedly, he threatened Nate a couple of times. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Nate left out of this relationship with nothing. When I tell you that Nate has not gained any sort of money, financial, any sort of monetary gain from this breakup, Nate left penniless. And Jeffree Star was sure to see of that. He was not going to allow Nate to just come out of this scot-free. I see that. Look at that, Leo and Leo. I do want to specify, I think it would be nice if we could see this. Let me pause this. Okay. Okay, guys, so I want to show you, this is supposed to be Jeffree and this is Nate. These are Nate's cards, this is Jeffree's cards, and these are the cards that are showing the actual energy, the actual emotion, the actual physical interactions between the two, okay? So I just want to explain my setup before you guys can actually make a... So what I was saying before is that the Leo card came up for Nate, meaning that after the breakup happened, Nate was very regretful, and Nate actually tried to win Jeffree back. He actually wanted to get back with Jeffree, and Jeffree said no, absolutely not, absolutely not. And it wasn't because he wasn't in love with Nate, it was more that he felt like this partnership already had dissolved, and Jeffree was actually enjoying his single life. Remember what I said, allegedly, that Jeffree had already a relationship brewing on the side? He already had a sexual relationship that was already happening, allegedly. Yeah, that's the reason why Jeffree did not want to go back with Nate. Let me tell you also something about Nate. Nate has been very sad over this breakup. More upset of this breakup than Jeffree has. Jeffree actually felt like this was a business move, an emotional move. He felt like this was a change that was needed between them, because Jeffree felt like he was no longer in love with Nate. No, he was no longer in love with Nate, and he was so happy to walk away from this. So fucking happy to walk away from this. He knew that this was and you know what? Nate right now is thinking about his financial stability. Even though Jeffree likes to say that no, this relationship was not about finance, it was not about you know, Nate being a gold digger or being someone that was only there for the fame and money. Let me tell you something. Nate was there for the opportunity to have a better life. Whatever that means to you is what it means to you. But Nate was not only there for love. Nate was there because he wanted the opportunities that were coming with Jeffree Star. And Jeffree Star was the one that actually had another relationship on the side. Yeah. And Nate has the support of his mother. He has the support of his mother. And Nate is actually going to come out very soon about the relationship between him and Jeffree Star. He's gonna tell a lot of things that will expose Jeffree Star. Yep. He's gonna talk about the situation that actually happened with James Charles and Jeffree Star, unless Jeffree Star already has hit Nate with a gag order. Nate is also going to be, he's not going to give like an interview, but Nate, I see writing, I see blogs, I see letters, I see articles, I see something like a book coming out, and it's not necessarily going to say, oh, I am exposing Jeffree Star, but I can definitely see something coming up in writing that Nate is a part of, that he's participating in, allegedly. And he's going to expose how secretive, how dangerous, how much of a manipulator Jeffree Star can be and has been when it comes to his relationship, with his intimate relationships. Yeah, he's over it. He's over it. Nate is so over this relationship, it's not funny. In the beginning though, he was very hurt. And he wanted to go back to Jeffree. He wanted to go back to him so bad. But Jeffree was not interested anymore because he felt trapped. He sexually just wasn't. Jeffree Star was not in love anymore, and Nate was sexually not feeling fulfilled anymore by Jeffree. But he definitely loved him, because he had taken care of him for so many years. But now he saw an ugly side of Jeffree. And I actually am going to stop the reading here, only because I don't want to indulge too much of... I don't want to expose too much. But if you guys are interested in another video on Jeffree Star, on maybe his career, on his relationship with Davi, on his racism allegations, his friendships, a lot of people have been requesting for me to make a video of him and Shane Dawson's relationship. Let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to do so. Again, my name is Persephone, and this has been the Hermit Tarot.